No one has time constraints? Okay. Okay. Mom and dad,
How long do you think this is gonna take, Julie?
we don't know. I don't think very long. I mean,
Okay, okay.
you may want to get a glass of wine. I don't know. You may want to. Okay. Mom and dad, so I unmuted you. How do you want to do this?
Well, I'll go first. Since I'm the hostess, I'll go first.
Okay, wait,
Okay.
I'm gonna pin you guys.
Life, I'm off. You can hear me,
Hold on.
right? I'm not muted.
Okay.
Okay. Life with Jerry, with you, dear, is one big belly laugh, except when it isn't. When looking through my computer for the first version of what I wrote, I realized it was lost in cyberspace. However, I found the following, which was written by you around 23 years ago for my 65th birthday, and I pulled a few things out of it. Section 1, wifehood. I decided to move my office to the valley, so Anne turned me into a wife. This is what I'm told now. Number 1.1, it's done legally, like a legal. When I met Bob and Buzz for lunch at Bagel Nosh, go to Savon to get the echinacea and bring the bottle. Get myself the 1.2. Get myself the pair of khakis I bought across the street from my office, and I should pick up the pants which were altered at the tailor near the house. 1.3. I am to bring the shirts to the laundry when she couldn't get there because of her last surgery. I'm surprised you didn't make me go. 1.4. It was easier when I was a helpless male with an office on the other side of the hill. Old stories as told by Anne. I'm not going to take the time with these today, but if anybody wishes to share the Possum's athletic endeavor, ice skating, roller skating, skiing, Florence and Bird, and river rafting. Anyone want to say anything about any of those? If not, I'll put you in at the end because they are firsthand experiences.
You're done.
They all want to go home. Part 3 is my roast. You are not too old to stop napping every day, sometimes twice, and wearing pajamas to do so, and staying in them during dinner when in our apartment. To where you're not too old to wear your pajamas on a Zoom call with friends. Although too old to stop through before it's even been used, and making a special trip across the room to dispose of one toothpick rather than leaving it on the plate. One day, if I go missing, please search the trash. To continue bundling up, I'm glad you're here to laugh. Nobody's laughing.
I could applaud if you'd like.
You can do that too. To continue bundling up in heavy jacket, vest, and hat for 70-degree weather. To move at a snail's pace unless you are cold, and then watch out for Speedy Gonzales. To spending hours, you're not too old to spending hours on the phone with tech support to walk you through various computer or iPhone tasks, or to learn how to use our TV remote again and again and once again. To continue to be late for or forgetting appointments when you have booked a ride here, or to lose or misplace phones, hearing aids, sunglasses still missing, wallet, or Kindle. It's been entertaining spending our time on treasure hunts looking for these belongings. You are too old to continue to hitchhike. Enough said. Jerry, to be serious for a moment, at your age, everyone should be as capable, sensitive, and as good a sport. You are able to and willing to ask for help to learn new tricks, and you are still the most interesting and funny man I know. I don't know too many men. I look forward to laughing our way through your 90s. I love you and appreciate your exuberance for life and learning, and you're continuing to always be in my corner.
Yay!
Yay.
Do I have to keep this or can I throw it out?
True to form. Okay.
You really impressed him.
Um, Who would like to go next? One of our children, maybe? The only other, well, there's two children there. Susan's not here.
I want to get rid of, I'm going to get rid of doing this because I'm a little nervous, but okay. So growing up, I never really realized that my dad was not your typical dad. I became more aware of this as I got older and started picking out my own cards for him on Father's Day. And all the cards depicted dads who were Mr. Fix-It around the house, the handyman, or the beer drinking sports fan, the dad who always played basketball or football with their sons, or the dad who was Mr. Fun Guy. That's when I realized my dad's not like that. In fact, I don't think I ever have seen my dad touch a football or basketball, let alone play with Paul. Fixing stuff around the house or even puttering, again, not so much. He would just hire someone instead. Unless it was to replace something on an annual basis. And that's when he was notified through his infamous tickler file to remind him that he had to get it done. He does appreciate a good dark beer and watching football now and again, but mostly at Thanksgiving and New Year's, again, very specific times of year. But it always resulted in a good nap where we would find him open mouth, making his rhythmic sounds so we knew that he was still alive. The only part of those typical Father's Day cards that were really true was the part of being the fun guy, but of course with a twist. My dad has a really odd side where he has a great sense of adventure. And that's what I always remember him wanting to share with us. He didn't appear to care about being the cool dad that would teach his kids the usual things like how to ride a bike, throw a football, ski, or surf. Instead, he was up for riding and crashing mini bikes, going on roller coasters, tubing down snow-covered mountains, and boogie boarding and body surfing in the ocean, which he did well into his 70s.
Slow down.
He did take us fishing, camping, and later glamping in motorhome adventures. He even gave his best shot to teach me how to ice skate when he didn't even know how to do it himself. And let us not forget all the horseback riding adventures that we shared together, where we would all go riding with him almost every Sunday morning at this place out by Magic Mountain. I could tell quite a few horse stories, but there's really only one that I wanted to share with you. And I don't remember how old I was. I think I was about 7 or 8. And our family went down to Mexico, and we were horseback riding on a beach. And since I was the youngest of the family, they gave me this horse that was apparently injured. So I was the youngest and the smallest, so they put me on this horse. Well, all of a sudden we're riding along and the horse completely took off for me in a full out sprint, and I was flying down the beach, and I was pretty scared. And I remember clear as day, just looking to my right and watching my dad just haul up next to me. And I looked over and he just looked at me, cool as a cucumber, and he just yelled, "Pull back the reins." And so I did. And I was really scared at that moment, and I trusted him. And at that moment, he was my cowboy and he was my hero. I've never forgotten that.
Never remember.
You don't remember?
No, I have no recollection.
Oh my God, I do. So many times when we would go riding, Dad loved to get all the horses all riled up and break a few rules as we went. He always wanted to ride fast. And so we would end up cantering out with these horses in the middle of God knows where. Every adventure almost always ended up with us wandering off, not getting back in time, getting late, bringing the horses back, probably a little bit overheated and a little bit tired. But again, it was his great sense of adventure. And that was part of growing up with him that really kept me smiling. So
Julie,
yeah.
did the horse stop when you pulled the reins back?
Yeah.
Very good.
It worked.
Horse was well trained.
So when I reflect back on these adventures, and there was a lot of silly stories, I realized something that's consistent with my dad. Whatever he did, and whatever he does with zest, and he puts his whole heart and soul into it. He appeared to never think twice about what it looked like to others, and he didn't care about making a fool out of himself or not. He was just out having fun and laughing, a lot of laughing. We mostly laugh at him, not He always seemed so comfortable in his skin, so unpretentious and so free. It's as if he knew himself at early in life what his limits are. He wasn't the most coordinated guy or athletic person. And we often said he couldn't see a straight line to save his life, but he knows how to enjoy life, to live in the moment, to laugh to the fullest, and definitely knows his way around a dance floor. Where my dad excels is in his high moral and ethical values, for constantly questioning, going against the grain, breaking with the norm, for searching for what is just, right, truthful, and fair. He'd be that one salmon swimming upstream in a different direction, maybe because he was lost, but maybe because he knew it would lead to better things. So he would be that one salmon going downstream when the others are going upstream. He's also very big into the importance of tradition, of routines, there's a lot of those, and of remembering. He was the elephant in our family, being able to recount facts, history, and spew wonderful words of wisdom. He imparted onto us a strong sense of moral obligations, of duties, about our roles in society, and about family always coming first. He was the first, and for a long time, the only person who could so easily make me feel guilty. It wasn't done by shaming or by putting me down or telling me I disappointed him in some way, but by simply acknowledging my actions or choices. And he'd always say, I don't love what you have done, but I still love you. I realized the power in that phrase, and I've used it with my own family members. Growing up, when we wanted permission to do something, we'd say, Dad, but everyone's doing it. And his response, he'd always look at us and say, who's everyone? And that stopped me dead in my tracks. Or we'd state a generally known fact about something, plead our case, how teenagers would just state the obvious. Dad's response was always, what's your source? Where's this coming from? Again, being that salmon to question, why do we always swim upstream? Wherever we went as a family, my dad was off talking to strangers, wandering off without a care in the world, not aware of any danger that may or may not exist, yet with such an open mind and heart and an unbeatable curiosity. Oftentimes, he remains like a kid in a candy store. I really think my dad is a walking dichotomy. He always has had a body that moves so slow, talking so slow, yet has a mind that moves so fast. On first blush, my dad is the quiet one in the family, prefers not being the center of attention, and good with letting my mom be the hostess. But then again, we can't forget about his acting classes and his many roles in all the Temple Judea plays where he just shined in the spotlight. A life that is driven by so many routines and is so regimented, from the clothes that he would wear to work, to the order of the music he would listen to, how he would mix his tobacco and care for his pipes, and even what he would eat on a given day. My dad was still so open to life, to change, and to spontaneity. He goes wherever his mind will take him. He and my mom did quite a bit of traveling, and he seems to follow whatever piques his interest. He is the true wandering Jew. His entire life, my dad has always hated to go for walks. And when we lived on Louise, and we lived literally 1 block away from a drugstore, my dad would always get in the car and drive there. And he would say, there's no purpose in walking, especially, if he could drive. And now in his 90s, he switched it up again. Now he tells me he enjoys going out for strolls in the neighborhood. Go figure. Dad, you've hit your stride. Well, let's be honest, you've surpassed your stride, and that's a good thing. You still keep us guessing. You're still a master of talking to strangers for long periods of time, and you keep us laughing. You mean the world to me, Dad. And even though I disappointed you by not following your career of choice, the apple has not fallen far from the tree. I now scare myself because I often do so many of the same things as you do, but of course at a much faster pace. You've given me the gift of gab, of questioning, of curiosity, of mediating, and of trying to be the best version of myself. You will forever be in my heart, and I'm so proud to be, as you would call me, an issuance of your body. Happy birthday, Dad. I love you.
Oh,
Fantastic, Julie.
Do you remember we went to a dude bridge and I took you and Paul up to the top of a mountain and we got lost. And there was a limb that had fallen.
This was my
You had to get your horse under the limb and your horse and you were sliding down the hill.
Oh my
And you
God.
got under the limb. Paul's horse, the cinch broke, and it kept on falling off. He was on the horse, and the whole saddle kept on falling. But I was worried more about you because I wasn't sure you'd make it when you slid down the hill. I wasn't sure you'd make it back up.
But you let me do that, Dad. So that was my other story. Like, you let me do that.
I know. I don't remember how old you.
I was like 7 or 8 because that was at Zaka Lake. And
Zaka Lake. And I was home in the cabin having an attack of anxiety because it was getting dark
Yes.
and you hadn't come back yet. I was ready to send the patrols out.
that's when the horse it was so steep. The horse was sitting like a dog. And that it was literally like going down. That is one of my most terrifying moments in my life. And all I see that, what the heck? Where were you? Why did you let me do that?
I was behind you. I don't know how I got through because that limb had gone down.
Yes. So
All right.
Look
Anybody else?
So what happened to the horse that was sliding down with?
Well, they got the limb had fallen. Julie and the horse. I don't know how she made the horse bend
I don't know.
its knees to get under the limb, and then she held onto the tail, and the horse went back up to the trail, and we eventually followed the trail down, and got back Zaka Lake. You're right.
Zaka Lake.
Yeah.
Zaka Lake.
Amazing. What's the name of the lake?
Zaka.
Zaka.
Z-A-C-A.
All right, this is Stan. I want to read what I wrote about Jerry to roast him.
Good.
Let me tell you something that will shake you up. Jerry, it was just discovered that you were really born 10 years earlier and that you're really only 80 now, Jerry. We all feel sorry for Anne, who has to live 10 more years with you. 90 is the new 80. Happy birthday, Jerry.
Thank you.
I have a story about Jerry, and it has to do with Anne also. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you started to say something about the ski trip.
Yes.
So Anne and Jerry and Bert and I rented a cabin. I think was it Big Bear?
Big Bear.
Yeah.
Big Bear.
Yeah. And there was snow on the ground, but there was also a lot of mud.
Yes.
And so we went, and it was the first time for Bert and I. Bert got on his skis and went down the mountain. He did fantastic. And Ann and I said, we're going to stay in the cabin. It was the second day. And Jerry, every time he got up on his skis, he'd get up, he'd fall down. He'd get up, he'd fall down. And this happened all the way down the mountain. So Ann and
Bunny
I.
slope.
Huh?
This was a bunny slope.
Okay, that's right. It was the bunny slope. And Ann and I were in the cabin and we opened the door and we saw him coming down, falling, getting up, falling. And when he got to about 100 feet from the cabin door, he started this soliloquy that went on for like a half hour. And Ann and I were making in our pants. It was so funny, but Jerry thought he was just doing fine. And he couldn't understand why Bert was able to come down the mountain and he was skiing. Jerry, he found every patch of mud that there was. He never got to be on the snow.
Bert
But it was
came down the
great.
mountain several times while
Yes.
I was on the front.
That's true. That's true. Bert came down a few times and Jerry was still trying to work his way down the first time. But it was a great weekend. Jerry has always provided us with laughter.
That was Bob Sattin's ski suit that I borrowed, pants, jacket, and I had to send it to the cleaners because it was filled with mud.
Mud, that's right. I bought Bob's.
Bob's been dead for what, 26 years?
No.
16
Maybe
years?
16.
All right, 16. That's how long ago.
Did Big Bear have a chairlift or did you have a rope tow?
Yeah, no, it had a chairlift.
Good.
Yeah, it had the chairlift.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't go skiing because I couldn't get off the chairlift. When we went skiing, the first time we got on the chairlift and the guy said, make believe it's a sofa or a couch. And when I say go, you get up. And I said, I can't do this. And he kept saying, sure you can. I said, I'm telling you, I can't do this. He said, I'm telling you, you will. So we get up to the top of the bunny slope and the guy says, 1, 2, 3, okay. And I sat there and looked at him. He said, Florence, get up. I can't. I went all the way down on the chair.
You won't be the first one who did that.
I have to intervene for a moment. There was a time when our children were like 6, 5 years old of age, and we went with you, Bert, to some ski lift. And I don't remember if you were married to him or not at
No.
that time. No, you weren't.
No, it was Miriam.
And we took our 3 kids, put them on a chairlift where they have a bar that you have to close down in front of you. And Jerry sitting with me behind the children.
No, we were in front.
We were behind the children, and I'm yelling, help them put their bar down. And Jerry is grabbing onto the center pole because he's terrified of height. He says, I can't look. Meanwhile, our kids were sitting in the chairlift without the bar the whole time because he was so terrified he couldn't help them. That comes back to me too. Sorry, dear.
That's right. Well, I remember momentous moments.
So who's going to follow this one? Anybody?
Buzzy, you're gonna tell the squirrel story?
What story am I gonna tell?
The squirrel story.
Oh. Yeah, that's right. They're not familiar with this, I guess. Yeah, Jerry and I had a little game that we played on each other, practical jokes, but I got the first one in. I had to go to the skin doctor for some, keratosis on my ear. And he had it removed enough where I needed some Mohs on it. So on the top of the ear, I got a bandage after the doctor was done. And of course, we met regularly with Jerry Appel and the other guys at Jerry's restaurant, Delicatessen, every week. So I walked in that day and Jerry's first remark was, gee, Buzz, what happened to your ear? So I don't know, just came into mind. I had a squirrel in the yard that was giving me troubles with our chairs. And I said, gee, Jerry, I said, I opened my door, backyard door, and went to go out. And I said, that squirrel that's been giving me troubles jumped on my shoulder and bit my ear. Jerry said, oh my God. And he got all upset. And of course, my good friend Jerry Appel knew immediately that I was stringing him along, and Jerry Appel loves to jump on a practical joke and extend it, build upon it. And he said, oh my God, Buzz, yeah, I remember about the squirrel. He finally got to you. And I said, yeah. And Jerry's looking aghast. And he says, my God, he said, did you get a tetanus shot? I said, oh, I don't need a tetanus shot. He says, it's not important. I said, I'm fine. He says, no, you got to go get a tetanus shot. He carried on like this for most of the lunch hour. And finally, we get done and we're leaving. And he says, now you got to go get that tetanus shot. And I said, Jerry, it's not important.
Then he called me.
And fine, I went home. Jerry gets on the phone as soon as he gets home and he calls Dutch. And he's very upset and concerned. He says, Dutch, Buzz has to go to the doctor and get a tetanus shot where that squirrel bit him. And of course, Dutch kind of said, what are you talking about? He says, didn't you see his ear? And she said, well, no, I didn't notice. Anyway, we kept this going on for weeks, and Jerry Appel, in the meantime, calls Jerry up and starts egging him on and saying, did you call Buzz's wife to get Dutch? And Jerry says, yeah, but Buzz doesn't seem to want to do anything. And Jerry says, you got to call Dutch again. This is really critical. He's liable to get tetanus. It's serious. And he's building upon it. And this goes on for weeks. Finally,
Hurry up.
it came on. We couldn't keep a straight face. And I let Jerry in on the joke. And of course, all the guys at the table started laughing. Now, I thought, okay, I had him. And I was going to remind him of that often. And now he comes back. This is several months later. And sits down at the table. And he says, you wouldn't believe what happened to me this morning. And we all looked at him. We said, what? What happened? He says, I got in a fight with some guy who was hassling a lady out on the corner of such and such on Ventura Boulevard. And we all looked at each other and said, Jerry, you got in a fight with a guy? Yeah, I got in a fight with a guy. Anyway, we couldn't believe it, knowing Jerry. And finally, after a bit, he admitted that while he had us all believing him, he says, oh, guys, he says, that was just a joke. I got your back.
Yes,
So that was a famous squirrel story.
yes.
Jerry, I can't believe this. This birthday of yours reminds me of a Polish wedding. It goes on
Yes,
for
goes
weeks.
on and on, never ends.
Oh my God,
But
we're
this-
on.
This is it.
Glad
After
you're talking.
tonight's they're worried. This
They
is
don't
it.
hear. We're joining in right now. Sorry, we're late. Couldn't, no computer wasn't working. Okay, keep talking.
Oh,
Well,
we'll keep talking, but Mar, we will have this recorded and send you a recording.
can I?
No, Paul, let's give Paul a chance because it's getting late and
Yeah.
he has written something. so-
How do you know?
I know.
Paul's birthday is it seems.
There he is.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And Dutch, if you think I'm going on if you think I'm going on too long, just let me know.
You gotta do it short.
Keep your mouth.
Okay.
I wish I could tell the
We're actually
possum-
here. Sorry.
Don't stop doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you hear us? Tell them that we're on. The computer didn't
Hey,
work.
guys. Hi, we're on the cell phone instead of the computer because that didn't work.
Okay,
So,
All right. I wish I had time to tell the possum story. That is a great story, Mom, by the way. That's one of my favorites. That's too funny.
Paul,
Yeah.
that's enough. You're done.
That's good. So I told my daughter that I'm writing some stories about Grandpa to read at his party. And I asked her, so what do you remember when you're thinking of your grandfather? And she says, eating chicken with both hands, no napkin. And that's not too far from my fond memory of him devouring a turkey carcass each Thanksgiving, like a patriarchal caveman, coveting his kill. Exhibit A.
Pick it up.
That one was shot at high speed. He was a little younger then, and he ate a little faster. These are all different Thanksgivings. Exhibit B. Another carcass. And these just go through the years. And Exhibit C. So
Very good.
that's really wonderful that I'll never forget. And Dad certainly, with his voracious appetite, won't be drinking Ensure to keep his calorie count up. He devours food with gusto, dipping, spilling, splattering about a 3-foot radius. And in table manners be gone, there are few pleasantries except for the final application of a toothpick after each feeding. The silver lining of COVID has been sharing meals outside and largely apart because the wearing of face shields and keeping a 6-foot distance outside the spray zone has actually been kind of nice and so much easier for cleaning. My mom's Tasmanian style of food prep and Dad's dining habits, it's much safer to keep them both outside. But I've seen my father take to current event topics with the same insatiable appetite as a slow cooked meat on the bone. He's up on current events, on point with hot topics of the day, with a smothering of legal jargon over his main course. The TV is often on full blast in the background, tuned to Rachel Maddow or some of the news program when I call. He stays better informed than most. And during the Trump administration, I feared for my father's health, not because of COVID-19, but was coming out of the White House. I thought the Trump era was going to drive him mad or at least lose his teeth as he would grind his jaw as he reported daily transgressions of that administration during my regular calls driving home. But I can tell that things are calmer now because Dad has moved on to listening to TED Talks and sending me IRS alerts on tax filings, which may benefit my personal and business finances. TED Talk recommendations have come on a variety of topics, Parkinson's prevention, religion, disorder in the courts, stories of family dynamics, and what makes a good life, and anything else he sees fit to expand our lives and our universe about. He speaks to more weighted topics and does so with zest. He's a champion of fairness and morality. You don't get much small talk out of my dad. For that, he defers to Mom. If it's a quiet news day, I get, Jerry, do you have anything you want to say to your son? She asks during a call. No. Perhaps he just fatigues with the continuous efforts to silence the answering machine, the constant changing of phones due to reverberation, putting down whatever he's tinkering with that makes so much noise you can't hear what's being said, or the endless answers to, Jerry, what are you doing? Stop that, I can't hear. It's pretty much a hit and miss to get him on a call anyhow. He's usually on a strict napping schedule, awake now about 5 hours a day, but he gets a lot done in those 5 hours. When he is awake, he's certainly comfortable. That is not an adjective, but a line of men's clothing wear. No lace shoes to be worn, which require bending or stooping, wool-lined shoes only, socks are out. Pants no longer need to be clean, only that they are comfortable, allowing for expansion below the chest, and cuffs not dragging on the floor. Ironically, shirts don't really matter. He wears whatever mom lays out for him. Layers is his style. 2 deep for temperatures in the 80s, 3 layers for temperatures in the 70s, and 4 for the 60s. You know, beyond temperature, he rarely complains, and I honestly can't remember a conversation with focused about his physical problems despite some losses and compromises. You know, I know it was a blow when he had to when he no longer safely could ride a horse. He finally accepted that after horseback riding became a blood sport.
Oh, boy.
He would return from the stable, bleeding from his head and arms, sporting the innocent and apologetic look of a child who just triggered the smoke alarm while lighting matches in the bathroom.
Paul, Paul, is it true that the horses asked him to stop?
They, the horses used to call him a horse's ass. He stopped driving, you know, accommodating first to taking Ubers pretty well. The only complaint I heard from him was about the music played in the car and feeling obliged to sitting in the front seat. You know, we told him it was not rude to be listening to classical music over headphones in the back. And I chuckle when I think of my then 80-year-old my 80-year-old father, like a teenager in the back, cap down, you know, headphones on in his own world, listening to classical music. But now he's been comfortable being chauffeured around by mom, seemingly resolved to senior Mad Max episodes on the road, putting his life in her hands on a regular basis. I think classical music lulls him into a translucent state of relaxation. I believe that saved him during their last major accident, hitting a parked semi-trailer. You know, and my dad, you know, God bless him, hand tremors, no big deal. Solved with adaptive spoons, bibs, straws, drip dry shirts, stain-proof floors. Hearing aids, solved. Hearing loss, solved. Hearing aids, and more reason to enjoy a long, nonstop soliloquy without feeling interrupted. Vision seems to be holding up. He can still able to oogle unabashedly at women, tracking a young woman well over 30 feet and a not so young woman up to 15 feet. My father is a man of routine. He's predictable, and to make sure he calendars each and every routine task. He has a schedule to replace his razor blades, toothbrush, change batteries, filters, replace light bulbs, clean his hearing aid. My favorites are when he would calendar grooming and self-care practices performed, needed or not. Fortunately for us, we kids never came with instructions or maintenance schedules. Otherwise, we would surely have been replaced, thrown out, or upgraded. You know, the last time we got together, Dad leans over next to me and he says, "Have you taken care of what I asked you?" and I knew exactly what he was talking about. When he has something on his mind that needs doing, it needs to be done now. Leaving for an appointment, a common phrase we would hear is, wait, I have to change the bathroom light, put a new liner in the trash can, throw out that box, and of course, use the bathroom. Oh, wait, the toilet paper needs replacing. Jerry, what are you doing? I'm leaving without you. Those are familiar battle cries we all grew up with as we left the house. Dad bites down hard on the to-do list. Items are to be completed without bias, one task and then the next. Priority and practicality are not factors. Order rules. So Dad, I want to let you know I was going to give you this at the party, but I finally reconciled the account we share, and there is a balance of money right here. So both mom and dad are settling well. Both mom and dad are settling well into what they refer to as Casa de Lende. And maybe too well. Dad is starting one discussion group after another. In his free time, he's co-conspiring with my mom to overthrow the coordinator of the facility. Rules are being challenged, regulations debated, facility resources reallocated. The dining table positions are being challenged, allowing for closer proximity. No one can hear each other. In defiance of the norm, Dad wears his, comfortable dress line of clothing wear in the dining hall. I fear for the future of socks and decorum. Life has, when did I read there? Life was prepared for that. Dad continues to still plan, even though there is less for them to plan for in this place. Dad calls me and tells me he's going to sell their burial plots, and they've decided to be cremated. This led to a conversation about what to do with their ashes. Can we make jewelry with them? We have do we need a special urn? Where to sprinkle the ashes? Dad goes on to tell me which drawer and file their final requests are in, what music is to be played, in what sequence, along with selected readings. I'm sure there's also an invitation list, seating chart, food menu, eulogy all prepared along with directions to the bathroom at whatever location. In the meantime, I continue losing my own hair. I listen to KNX radio in the morning, classical music when stressed. I pick to wear for the next day, depending on what is next in line in my closet.
Oh my God. Oh.
I wear each pair of pants 2 days in a row, no matter what, before determining they need washing. I make reminders to change the furnace filters, counter my warranty expirations, maintenance schedules. Wait, it is indeed happening. I am becoming my father. And if only I would become my father, because he is the most moral, sensitive, caring, hardworking man I know. And I should be so fortunate to aspire along the path he's put forth over his very, very long lifetime to achieve such reverence from friends, family, and community. And I do hope and strive to become like my dad someday. So happy birthday, Dad.
Yay! Good job, Paul. That was beautiful.
It's my turn.
That's very good.
It's your turn.
All right. I attribute my longevity to taking vitamins and mineral supplements and fish oil daily, riding a recumbent bike for 40 minutes 5 times a week, taking a 1 hour around 1 hour nap daily, being married to Anne, and to having good friends and loving family.
You sit down.
I thought I would give this there. So the next sentence was, before sitting down, I have 2 thoughts to pass on. First, I was reading a book about Judaism written by a woman who wrote speeches for both Barack and Michelle Obama. The author quoted a rabbi who suggested a blessing for children. Be who you are, and may you be blessed in all that you are. The other is a short pearl of wisdom from a Peanuts comic strip. One kid says to the other, my grandfather has a birthday this week. The other kid asks, does he mind getting old? The first kid says, no. He says it doesn't bother him. In fact, he says he feels great. He says that once you're over the hill, you begin to pick up speed. Think about it. That's it. And I sat down.
That was lovely. Well, thank you all for showing up. We would be happy if you need a recording, just email me. And I think it's time to let everybody get
end
on
the
with.
Polish wedding.
Yes, unless you want to meet next week to hear some of the other stories.
Hold on,
Aren't you serving dessert?
Lily.
And the last thing was that I had on my speech was, thank you all for coming. Twice now.
Can you guys wait for 1 minute? Lily wants to share something, so I'm gonna mute
Oh,
my.
sure.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
So one, Grandpa, I want to thank you for having hearing aids that actually work and that you can hear everything with inside your ear for now on. It's your own little AirPods. So yay for both of you. 2, hearing Uncle Paul's and Mom's speeches remind me so much of who they are because of you. Mom talking to strangers on end and won't shut up, and we have to be like, Mom, let's go. Uncle Paul being endlessly funny in his own way. And because they're on this earth because of you, we just want to say thank you and that we see your qualities in them. And I think it's just a good reminder of the life that you gave them and that we get to see it within them every single day. And that's like with living with you. And
Oh.
your memory is going to continue. So, because we have them. And what we don't have from them is their giant stories that you all, when we were little. So like Lena has the chicken hands. We have your giant stories of yo, Mr. Giant, yo, Mrs. Giant with Dragon and Beanstalk. Yeah, of us laying in our sleeping bags just in your old house on Louise Street. And that was our fondest memory of you. It's the giant stories that you would give us every single night because we didn't have cell phones to keep us busy. So we had you. And so it's much better. But that's our memory of you and we get to continue living with it. So.
Well, do you think you'll be able to tell the giant stories to your own kids?
Yes, Sophie will because she's the elephant.
Sophie remembers everything.
Good.
So that was all.
All right. Should we let everyone go now?
I should. So.
Sherry,
Wait. Bert wants to say something. Wait, let me unmute you.
Sherry, I have to jump on everybody else because I've known you longer. As a matter of fact, I tease Ann all the time. I tease Ann all the time. I stopped finally. I slept with you before she did.
That's,
Jerry and I were the odd men out.
Jerry.
Yes.
We shared a double bed. We went away on a trip arranged by mutual friends, the Nathan brothers, Jerry.
Yes,
Remember?
I remember them. Yeah, we went fishing up and there was a
Yes.
guy who came in white ducks and we had to carry him. Do you remember that? He came with sneakers and white pants. We carried canoes and we had to carry him also. There was another guy who would make soup. He'd start in the morning and he'd leave it on the stove, and when we got back, it really was good. That
Well,
was
we got up,
in
because we were the odd men out, we got up.
go ahead.
I said, we got out every morning and made breakfast for everybody.
Yes,
Did
we
the
did.
dishes, and we were through. They had to slept food for lunch and dinner, but because of the way it worked out, we always made breakfast.
Yes, that was our job. And I remember we caught fish. We'd stop for lunch. And then somebody would go out to a rock and cast and catch fish. And that fish became our lunch. I mean, we had good fishing. But yeah, you and I slept together.
And I can't believe you didn't tell the story about the athletic ability of Jerry when he saw Bert use a,
That's a whole other,
You know,
everybody's,
I think it's, we will have to have another meeting to go through
All
those
those
stories.
stories.
They were incredible. I don't want to keep people any longer, but I'm chuckling already at some of the things. And I realized that I forgot a whole page of mine about his clothes. So who knows?
well,
We'll tell them another time.
another time.
Yes.
okay, my doggy wants to go out.
Thank you, everybody. I know you've got
Thanks for coming.
places to go.
Love you, Jerry.
Thank you. I love all.
Happy birthday.
Again,
Bye,
So long.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Coming.
Happy birthday again. Love you. Good to see you.